think grunge is something that somebody made up to market a sound out of Seattle.
In the early 1990s, the music industry had a clear message for heavy metal. You're finished. The titans of the 80s were fading, and a new sound out of Seattle was taking over the world. According to critics and MTV tastemakers, metal was suddenly uncool, outdated, and dead. Admit you liked it and you were labeled a poser. But in the shadows, a new breed of bands refused to let the genre die. They tore up the memo that said their time was over. This isn't just a list of popular bands. It's the story of how a handful of titans carried the torch through the darkest decade in metal history and ensured heavy metal would rise again, heavier and more defiant than ever. By 1992, the party was over. Heavy metal, the leather-clad, pyro-fueled king of the 1980s, was being read its last rites. The mainstream narrative was brutal. Grunge killed metal, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Their stripped-down authenticity made the teased hair and power ballads of the 80s look like relics. When Nevermind hit in 1991, the switch flipped overnight. Labels dropped metal acts. MTV stopped playing their videos. Fans traded in studded jackets for flannel shirts. But was the genre really dead? Or was it just evolving, forced underground, where it would mutate into something far heavier? To understand how metal nearly died, you have to remember the empire that fell. The 1980s were the golden age of excess. Stadiums filled with Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Metallica. The Sunset Strip ruled by Motley Crue and Poison. Metal was a commercial juggernaut and cultural phenomenon. But by 1989, the shine was fading. Labels oversaturated the market with look-alike, sound-alike hair metal acts. As Dee Snider later admitted, the scene did it to itself, chasing power ballads and radio polish until it became a parody of its own rebellion. Meanwhile, the thrash metal elite, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax, reached creative peaks around 1990, but soon faced turbulence. Metallica's 1991 Black Album conquered the charts, but alienated purists who saw it as a step away from true thrash. Rob Halford left Judas Priest in 1992. Bruce Dickinson quit Iron Maiden in 1993. Slayer's Dave Lombardo exited the same year. Then came the cultural earthquake. From Seattle's rain-drenched basements, grunge exploded. Nevermind didn't just top charts, it redefined cool. Overnight, the same magazines that once worshipped shredders and spandex now sneered at them. Metal was declared extinct, but the obituary was written too soon. While the world moved on, metal's underground refused to die quietly. In the clubs, garages, and rehearsal spaces, a new generation was building something fiercer, rejecting glam's gloss and grunge's melancholy for raw aggression. And at the center of that resurrection was a band from Texas that would change everything. You can't tell the story of 1990s metal without Pantera. They started as a glam metal band in the 80s, but everything changed when Phil Anselmo joined in 1986. Their transformation was complete with Cowboys from Hell, 1990. A thunderous declaration that pure groove and power could still dominate. But it was 1992's vulgar display of power. We got no time to lose. Your news is all news. That reforged the genre in steel. Released at grunge's peak, it was a middle finger to trends. Dimebag Darrell's guitar tone sliced like a buzzsaw. Vinnie Paul's drums hit like artillery. Anselmo's vocals were a roar from the streets. Furious, authentic, unpolished. And then came Far Beyond Driven in 1994, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. That wasn't supposed to happen for a band this heavy. I wore out my cassette copy of Far Beyond Driven in my 1977 Mercury Monarch, aka the Iron Butterfly. I believed everyone should be given a copy of that album at birth. It's still my favorite Pantera album to this day. Rob Halford later said it best. Metal in the 90s needed Pantera. They were the springboard for so many bands afterward. Pantera proved that metal didn't have to conform. It just had to get heavier. If you're still here headbanging, you're one of us. Hit like. If you think Pantera saved metal, and subscribe for deep dives into the bands that refuse to die. Now, let's meet the other warriors who carried the torch through the darkness. Sepultura, the voice of chaos. From Belo Horizonte, Brazil, Sepultura rose from thrash obscurity to global dominance. Their 1993 album, Chaos AD, shattered expectations, shifting from speed to a heavier, groove-based rhythm, fueled by tribal percussion and political fury. Tracks like Refuse, Resist, and Territory became rallying cries. Then in 1996, roots fused Brazilian drumming, native chants, and down-tuned guitars, produced by Ross Robinson, who'd soon shape the NU metal wave with Korn and Slipknot. Sepultura didn't chase trends, they created them. They showed that metal could evolve without losing its soul. Machine Head, the sound of urban rage. From the Bay Area ashes of thrash came Rob Flynn's Machine Head. Their 1994 debut, Burn My Eyes, was pure, unfiltered anger, mixing groove, thrash, and hardcore with street realism. It tackled the LA riots and Waco siege, channeling the decade's chaos into riffs that hit like riot batons. The result? Roadrunner Records' best-selling debut until Slipknot 5 years later. Machine Head proved modern metal could be both socially conscious and brutally heavy, a combination that set the tone for the next generation. Type O Negative, the lords of Gothic doom. While others doubled down on aggression, Type O Negative embraced darkness and irony. Fronted by the towering deadpan Peter Steele, their 1993 masterpiece Bloody Kisses fused doom metal, gothic romance, and twisted humor. Songs like Black Number One and Christian Woman became MTV staples, a goth invasion no one saw coming. It became Roadrunner's first gold record in 1995, and later its first platinum album in 2000, a staggering feat for a non-mainstream metal band. Type O Negative proved that metal could be slow, sexy, and sinister, a soundtrack for the outsiders who didn't fit into either grunge or glam. Death, the architects of technicality. While groove metal ruled the mosh pit, Chuck Schuldiner and his band Death were redefining metal's intellect. With albums like Human, 1991, Individual Thought Patterns, 1993, and Symbolic, 1995, Schuldiner fused brutality with virtuosity. His intricate guitar work and philosophical lyrics pushed death metal beyond shock value into high art. Though he rejected the godfather of death metal label, Schuldiner's influence is undeniable. His legacy laid the groundwork for technical and progressive death metal, a testament that even in its darkest corners, metal never stopped innovating. Dream Theater, the progressive survivors. While others stripped down, Dream Theater went in the opposite direction, bigger, longer, and infinitely more complex. Their 1992 breakthrough Images and Words dropped right in the middle of the grunge revolution and still went gold by 1995. Pull Me Under even cracked Billboard's top 10 on the mainstream rock chart. In an era of simplicity, Dream Theater proved there was still room for 10-minute epics, virtuosic solos, and symphonic storytelling. They carried the torch for musicianship, inspiring an entire wave of prog metal disciples. The impact of these 1990s survivors didn't stop when the decade ended. They built the foundation for 21st century metal. The new wave of American heavy metal, bands like Lamb of God, Chimera, God Forbid, and Killswitch Engage, all drew direct influence from Pantera's groove, Sepultura's percussion, and Machine Head's urban fury. Sepultura's roots inspired nu metal's tribal rhythms. Pantera united the once feuding thrash and hardcore communities. Type O Negative revitalized gothic and doom metal. Death made technicality cool again. Dream Theater proved virtuosity could coexist with emotion. The old kingdom had fallen, but the new one was bigger, heavier, and global. From Scandinavia's black metal forests to South America's underground scenes, metal thrived, more diverse than ever. Because these bands refused to surrender, the genre didn't just survive, it evolved. So, did grunge really kill metal? Not even close. The death of metal in the 90s was a rebirth, a painful transformation that stripped away the excess and forced it back to its raw essence. While MTV wrote its obituary, these bands, Pantera, Sepultura, Machine Head, Type O Negative, Death, and Dream Theater, built its resurrection. They carried the flame through the darkest decade, forging a new identity for heavy music that endures today. Because of them, metal never died. It adapted, it evolved, and it became immortal. Now it's your turn. Which 1990s metal band kept your faith alive? Drop it in the comments and tell us what record got you through the storm.